So this week I just finished reading the book Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley, and it's about how you can make your business so desirable to so many people that you sell out every single time. And it's not that you actually can't keep up with demand, it's that you intentionally do this so that you can't keep up with demand on purpose in order to make it even more desirable, and that kind of just keeps compounding over and over and over. So I'm filming this right now on an iPhone 12 Pro Max, which I tried to buy from a local Verizon store. They said they didn't have it. They said another location had it. I went there. They said they don't have it. The other location has it. I went there, and long story short, I ended up going to 3 Verizons and a Best Buy and was not able to get this phone. Now, the iPhone 12, which had come out maybe a month earlier, that was pretty much available everywhere. And I was like, no, I need to get the Pro Max because it's newer. And every time I went somewhere and it was sold out, it only reinforced over and over, this is the phone you want, this is the phone you need, everyone needs this phone. It's clearly the superior option, otherwise it wouldn't be sold out. Now, do you really think a company like Apple would, completely botch the launch of their new phone? Obviously, they do this on purpose. They have so many phones in stock as well, to the point where I could have ordered any phone and had it shipped directly to me, which I ended up doing. I got this phone in maybe like 3 or 4 days because I ended up having to order it online. But of course, I went to all those stores, stood in line, built up the demand for everyone else because they saw the line out the door at all those stores. Essentially, I got had, but I'm happy to do it because a company like that makes you don't feel bad when you get the product. Now, another really good example of this that I saw was Lego on Black Friday. So I went to the Lego website. I wanted to check it out, see how it compared to my website because I'm also in the toy business. So I go to lego.com and it says, you are in the queue. You are number 1,200 something to enter the site. So they had a waiting list to get onto their website, saying like, oh, the servers are so crowded because there's so much demand. A company like that, again, they could pre-plan. They knew what they were doing. That was on purpose. They've also been recently launching a lot of very limited edition sets where it drops at one time and then it sells out. So they had, I think, the Coliseum, the biggest Lego set ever. They just released that and it sold out immediately. Bunch of other sets like that. So essentially, what the book says is do exactly that. They're doing it on purpose, and it's because they do it that they continue to get media attention and keep growing and keep getting better, and that's just the way it works. So he says, for example, he wanted to hire this consultant, and this guy would basically advise him on how to run his company, how to run his life, and he said he charged, I think, $40,000 or $50,000 per year. He only worked with 6 clients, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm happy to work with you, but just letting you know in advance, this 5-month period of this year, I'm not going to be available. You're going to still pay the full $40,000 for that year, but just don't contact me during that time. I'm busy. I also just dropped these other couple clients because, they didn't really work with my schedule. They were kind of, it was annoying me. So, I just dropped them. And he said that made it in his mind better. And you would think saying that I'm only going to give you half of what you're paying for and, I'm not great for my clients is a bad thing. And obviously it could be at times, but the way in which it was presented to him made it sound like it was a good thing and made him really, really want that service even more and happily overpay, maybe it's worth it, usually is, the $40,000. Now, another crazy example is there was this place near me, this breakfast place, and they had these croissants that they would make in the morning, and they would sell out every day by around 11 a.m. And so, you would go there, you'd order them, and I went there once, and I was like, oh, I'll take 10 of those, and I'll just, bring them home for some people. And, the whole line is like, what, 10? Because there's no limit, but there's, this unwritten rule where you can't buy too many. You can't be greedy. You have to buy, just 1 or 2. And they sold out every time, and they always had a line in the morning. Now, I thought they were using, the same methods from Oversubscribed, but it turned out about a year later, they were like, it's too much work for us to make croissants. We're going to not sell those anymore. It's just too much work. And I was like, just either raise your prices or make more. If you don't want to make them because it's too much work, raise your prices, supply and demand. Yeah, so they were not using the tactics. They were using them by accident, if anything. And it did work out really well for them until they decided, it's too much work, stop selling croissants, and shortly after they closed. So essentially what was keeping them in business was the fact that they had this limited supply product that they released every morning until it was just too much for them. So you want to sort of create the illusion that it's like too much for you to deliver this product or this service, except, in your mind actually know that it is exactly what you were planning. And what's interesting is if you are able to do that successfully, you know exactly how much of something you're going to sell. Because if you have 100 available and your goal is to get, 150 people that want those, you know for sure that you're going to sell out of them. Like 100%, every time exactly what you're going to sell. And you could predict all the supplies, the staff, and everything that you need to make it the most efficient way to deliver that quantity. So the way that's most efficient to deliver 150 products is different from the way that's most efficient to deliver 100 products. If you know you're going to be releasing only 150 or 100, you're not planning on, let me buy 250 just in case it's like better than I thought because I don't want to sell out. You want to sell out. You want to create that demand. You want people to talk about it, and they will if you sell out. So that's essentially what the book is about. Make it so that you always have more customers and spend more on marketing than you need to so that you sell out every single time consistently. And he says to do this in a couple different phases. I think he says to do like a bigger quarterly launch and then have, all these different campaigns where you're making a certain percentage of your money from these quarterly campaigns, certain percentage from weekly, and you know exactly ahead of time, I'm going to make exactly this much this year. You might not be able to predict exactly the marketing spend that it'll take at first when you're first starting out before you start taking off and really getting to a huge level, but you will know your revenue figures. And as you go, your marketing will go lower and lower until either at some point you're increasing the release amounts of your product, or you have no marketing at all and it's all just word of mouth. This is really how you build up the hype. So I thought it was a really good book. Already recommended it to someone and they are reading it, loving it as well. So I recommend that you read it also.